Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something you might have just glanced out on your payslip before, but it could actually be costing you a lot of money. We're talking about the W-1 and M-1 tax codes. And this entire discussion, breaking down something that can feel pretty complex, has been arranged by the experts over at My Tax Accountant, who are all about making this stuff clear and understandable for all of us. So let me ask you, have you ever seen a little W-1 or M-1 sitting next to your tax code on your payslip? If that rings a bell, you're definitely going to want to stick around because it's a huge red flag that you might be paying way more tax than you actually need to. Okay, so what on earth are these codes? Well, officially, they're what HMRC calls an emergency tax code, and they're meant to be a temporary fix. But let's dig into what that actually means for your pay packet. Basically, an emergency tax code is what HMRC uses as a kind of placeholder when they don't have the full picture of what you're earning. The W-1 just stands for week 1, and M-1 is for month 1. But the most important word on this slide is non-cumulative. And that one little detail changes everything about how your tax is calculated. Right, here's the crucial difference. A standard or cumulative code is smart. It looks at everything you've earned and all the tax you've paid so far this year to work out what you owe now. But an emergency code, it's like it has amnesia every single payday. It completely ignores the past and taxes you based only on what you earned in that 1 week or month, giving you just a tiny slice of your tax-free allowance. So you might be thinking, why me? Why would HMRC put me on one of these codes? Well, it's not random. There are actually a few very common things that can trigger it. By far, the most common reason is starting a new job without your P45 from your old employer. That form with all your previous tax details. But it could also happen if you're switching from being self-employed to working for a company, or if you start getting a company pension. Sometimes it's as simple as your employer having a delay in getting your info to HMRC. Basically, HMRC is playing it safe. So we know what it is and why it happens. But what's the actual damage to your take-home pay? Let's stop talking theory and look at a real-world example. It really brings home the financial hit. Let's talk about Tariq. He started a fantastic new job back in October after being out of work for a little while. The only problem? He didn't have his P45 handy. So his new employer put him on an M1 code, a tiny bit of admin that ended up having a massive financial impact. Just look at these figures. With that M1 code, Tariq was taxed nearly £400 every single month. But if he'd been on the correct code, the one that looks at the whole year, HMRC would have seen all his unused tax-free allowance from the months he wasn't working. The result? He should have paid zero, absolutely nothing in tax for those first 3 months. And here's the bottom line. It all adds up. In just 3 short months, Tariq overpaid by more than 1,100 quid. That is a serious amount of money to be missing from your bank account just because of the wrong tax code. Okay, that was the bad news. So let's talk about the good news. And the good news is this is completely fixable. You just need to know what to do. Here's your step-by-step guide to get it sorted. All right, here's your 4-step action plan. First, grab your latest payslip and just confirm you see that W-1 or M-1 code. Second, find your P45 from your last roll. Third, have a quick chat with your HR department or your boss and make sure they've sent all your details off correctly. And finally, if things still aren't right, it's time to contact HMRC directly. And to make that final step as easy as possible, here's the info you'll need. You can always call them, but honestly, the fastest way to get this sorted is to set up a personal tax account online. It gives you direct control over your tax information. And now for the part we've all been waiting for. Getting that overpaid tax back where it belongs, in your pocket. Let's walk through how the refund process actually works. Now, HMRC usually catches these things eventually. After the tax year ends, they'll often figure out you've overpaid and send you a P800 form along with a refund automatically. But why wait? If you use your personal tax account, you can flag the problem now and ask for an in-year adjustment. That means they'll fix your code and you'll get the money you're owed back through your next few paychecks. So how do you stop this from happening again? Honestly, it's all about being organized. Make it a habit to give your new employer your P45 on day 1. Use that online tax account to keep HMRC updated on any job changes, and really just get into the habit of glancing at your payslip every month. It's the best way to catch a problem before it grows. So after all that, the problem, the impact, the solution, what's the one thing you really need to remember from all of this? It's this: you have to be proactive. Yeah, an emergency tax code is meant to be temporary, but if you don't take action, you could be overpaying for months on end. So check your payslip, provide the right documents, and don't ever be afraid to contact HMRC. At the end of the day, it's your money. And look, while these steps will solve the vast majority of W-1 and M-1 issues, we know that sometimes tax situations can get a little more tricky. For those more complex cases, or if you just want some professional guidance, don't hesitate to reach out to the experts at My Tax Accountant. We really hope this has helped clear things up.